Hey guys, my name is Manning Moore. I am a creative individual that primarily focuses on film and 3D concept design and art. And I'm here joined today by Reese. Say hey, Reese.
Hi.
Reese is a photographer who has done quite a bit of work in a whole bunch of different realms of photography, right? So you got a lot of street art, you have a lot of product photography, abstract stuff, landscapes, a whole
Yeah,
mess of things.
I dipped my foot and everything.
That's a great way to describe it. So right now I've got two areas of where you have your photography sorted out. You have SmugMug and Instagram, right?
Right.
So just to clarify, why do you use SmugMug?
Um, I like it because it's a great way to have everything organized. It's a more professional looking portfolio as opposed to Instagram. Um, with SmugMug, I can make it look however I want. I usually just go with the generic stuff because it already looks fine. But with SmugMug, I can divide the kind of photos I want people to see. Like if I want people to see the car pictures I've taken, I put them in the automotive catalog, or I
Hmm.
put the waterfalls in the water catalog, or just like landscapes and things and scenes or that kind of thing. People can find specific photos depending on what they want me to take pictures of, or if they want a specific picture, they can easily find it as opposed to needing an Instagram account and having to go find me my username.
Right. Have you
And
considered starting like your own website?
um, kind of.
Hmm.
I don't know enough about website design and upkeep to willing to do that.
Hmm.
And with SmugMug, I can actually just there's a plugin with Lightroom where if I really like a photo, I can just tell Lightroom to submit that photo to SmugMug on its own,
That's
and then
super.
I don't get a whole lot of lossless photos.
Hmm.
Um, Obviously, SmugMug is going to downgrade a little bit, but not nearly as much as Instagram. I can have a lot of detail in each photo on SmugMug, so people can see that they're going to be nice and crisp and clear and free of noise, that kind
Right.
of thing.
Yeah, yeah. Right now I'm looking at your automotive folder. You got some really good photos in here. I like. You got, you must have a lot of friends with a lot of really nice cars.
A lot of friends, sure. A lot of nice cars, definitely.
Yeah,
There's a surprising number of decent and respectable cars in this small town.
for sure. Well, so I want to go ahead and start with just kind of a general question. Why the pursuit of photography?
Um, I don't know. I've always liked the feel of capturing a moment. When I was I think I was 11, my dad had one of these nicer point and shoots from Sony I would play with just because it was more beefy than the little like $20 one my grandparents got me just for fun. And the pictures I could get with his camera were much more sharp. And I realized that to get a decent picture, you have to invest in it. But the investment can only take you so far. You have to know how to work the camera. And then when I figured out that there's so many options to play with the settings like aperture, f-stop, those are the same things. I'm sorry. When you play with different things like depth of field, ISO for star pictures, or shutter speed to capture motion or to show motion, the
Hmm.
possibilities are nearly endless, and it's so much fun.
Yeah, yeah. See, well, let me go ahead. What kind of stuff has inspired you with photography?
Are you talking like things I've seen or some of the artists I follow?
Why not both? Go ahead. Go ahead with start with like some of the artists that you follow.
One of the artists I follow, his name's Platon. He does portraiture specifically. You got me into him actually. I just like the way he captures an emotion in a single person. The way they invigorate this deep feeling of whatever they're being captured for. There was a interview with a general of the United States that they were talking about some issues with soldiers, and the way Platon talked to the general to invoke this sense of despair in the general's eyes. You knew he knew what he was doing, and you saw that in the photo. And I thought, if I'm going to get a decent picture, the subject has to be visible in a way beyond a simple photograph. They have to be exposed, and
Hmm.
that's a struggle, and it's like a challenge. I dig a challenge, but to actually get the good photo, you have to take a few extra steps. Even that means someone ends up crying because of how they feel about something, which is a downer. But nonetheless, it's totally worth it.
Yeah. Anyone else?
There are a couple of Icelandic photographers that live up in Iceland and take landscape photography, and the things you see are breathtaking. The waterfalls, the scenery, the wildlife, the beaches. And it's amazing to think that a few thousand miles away, there's this insanely breathtaking and stunning landscape that's invaded by, believe it or not, no insects, which is awesome.
Not a fan of nature insects.
Yeah. Where was I going with this? But I like it because not only does it make me want to visit there more, but it's a way to connect with Iceland. I don't have to spend thousands of dollars to get there, go on these hikes that I know I can't survive to experience these things. Because of their ability as a photographer, I can get a tiny taste for what Iceland looks like and would probably feel like as temperatures and humidity and those contributing factors that not really penetrate you, but kind of invade your senses, you know?
Right. Absolutely.
It's one thing to see a place. It's another thing to smell it and to feel the wind and to get the brightness into your eyes because of how radiant the sun is right there.
Nice. Well, hey, what are some of your favorite projects that you've worked on?
I don't know. I guess it depends on how you classify a project, because like I have class projects that I'm happy with, or I've done actual work for a couple of people who needed specific photos. So I don't know.
Well, what about like subject?
Subject? I had a lot of fun taking pictures of cars. I like cars. I think they're pieces of art, or at least some cars are. I don't really much care for Kia. No offense to anyone. Or Hyundai, however you want to say it.
Hyundai.
I'm not really a fan of the Mustang. I'm not really a huge fan of the Mustang. But when you get a good angle of it, you can tell that this newest one, it has some really sharp lines to it. It has this little flair that kind of speaks to you. And I probably never own one, but I definitely like looking at it. I love the color of the guy who let me take pictures of his Mustang. I loved the startup noise.
Yeah.
And hanging out the back of my car to take these motion shots was so much fun. And knowing I naturally got this motion blur, it wasn't just photoshopped, it was actually moving.
Yeah.
Thinking about that, it's like, I want to do it more. And I know with more professional car photographers, they use like actual gimbal systems. They use cranes. They use attachments that they attach to the car so the car can go faster and go around tighter corners without having a car next to it to take pictures of it. And I can't do those things. So I guess it's even further a challenge for me to not copy, but kind of try to mimic the style of the photo without shelling out thousands of dollars.
Yeah, I got you. So, well, do you have a single favorite photo that you've taken that you just look at and like, man, I'm actually the best, or something like that?
Geez. I mean, I guess best is a relative term. Best in my area, right? There are a couple that I'm like, okay, I should be doing more like this. I guess it just depends on which photo it is. Like, there's a car photo that I wish I could get submitted to a magazine. There was a photo I got in Salt Lake City when I went to take pictures of one of the temples that I thought this should be on a magazine. I think I should submit it, but they submit so many, it's impossible to fathom if they'd ever get to mine. There are some I want to print out and like as big as possible because I want to look at it all the time. I know that sounds really conceited and douchebaggery, but like there's some times that I think I did okay as a photographer. And are you looking at Instagram right now?
I am. Yeah, I'm looking at the small group of photos that you have from Salt Lake City. Is it the first one that you have? So you took a trip to Salt Lake City this weekend and saw some wonderful sights. There's a big temple. It's got a little lake or a pond right in front of it, with some statues in the middle of the pond.
There's a post where the caption says "Successful day in Salt Lake City," and I did Top Golf.
Oh, Top Golf. I like Top Golf.
That's the post I'm looking at. I think it's the most recent temple photo. No, it's
Oh,
the
wait,
second
is
most
this?
recent temple photo. It's one that looks like a castle
Yeah,
with the
yeah, I
trees
see
in front
it.
of it.
Oh wow, that looks really good.
So that's one of the ones I wanted to submit because it's just I
It
feel
looks
like
good.
it's not distracting. There's actually a lot of buildings, a lot of tall buildings around that temple
Mm-hmm.
that can be very distracting, and it was kind of tricky to get the right angle. And I thought, okay, that one worked out well. But if you go back to the homepage, there's in the middle column, second photo down, the storm above the sand dunes.
Yeah,
I think that's one of my favorites right now.
that's a good one.
I don't know why. I've been going after this kind of solace through chaos theme, where there's a picture of just a lot going on, but because of the nature of what's going on, it can bring a sense of calm. So like I love thunderstorms. I like the sand dunes, and usually those things kind of contradict each other. You think of sand dunes as a dry and desolate place, but with the huge lightning storm coming at it, it's like this could be really interesting.
For sure. I got you. Well, let's see. Where do you think you could see your like the most improvement that you need to have? Where do you think you need to improve upon as far as photography goes?
I think my improvement needs to be in portraits. There have been a couple lucky hits where, because of the subject I was working with, I got a really, really good photo. But that's not it's not all because of what I did necessarily. It was more because I happened to be there at that moment with my camera in those settings. I think I need to work on knowing how I want the subject to be positioned and doing it professionally. Not that I'm immature. It's hard to direct someone and say, this is exactly what I want, and translate that without a lot of confusion. And you know what I mean?
Yeah. I got you.
Like if I could draw, like if I was actually better as an artist to sketch things out, I wish I could just draw out the poses I needed and the lighting I wanted. Or because I can't do that, I have to try and shift the person themselves in ways that I can't translate my thoughts into actions very well.
I got you. So let's see, her name's Brenna, right? And you're on your smug mug, like the group of first 3 photos, the ones that are very Platon like.
In people?
Yeah,
that's Brenna.
Brenna. Yeah. Okay, I think the work that you've done with her is probably the best out of all of these. I very much enjoy a lot of these. Maybe not this one right here, but definitely I think that one is her as a subject, or that group of photos that you have with her as a subject, are the best ones that you've done. I think those are really, really good.
Working with her was a lot of fun. She just she seems kind of awkward for a little while, but she seems to know exactly what she's doing, which is a little suspicious, but nonetheless.
I mean, isn't it always nice to have a model that knows what they're doing?
It's very, very convenient. It really is. Because when someone just wants their picture taken, but they don't know what they're doing and you know what you're doing, you can only hope you can squeeze a few good pictures out.
For sure.
So it can be a little awkward.
Yeah, I definitely get you there.
But when they know what they're doing, there's a much greater sense of professionalism, and you know that the variety and the range of pictures you can try to take, it grows exponentially because they're comfortable, you're comfortable, so why not explore?
You know, that is one of the most important things to do whenever you do portrait photography. You need to make sure your subject is very, very comfortable, or at least more comfortable in that position than where they would be somewhere else. They need to know you. They need to understand that you're there for the better part of, the day to make sure that you get a good photo. They need to be comfortable. And, that's a very difficult thing with some photographers because, some people just don't connect super well with their subjects. And that's not, a terrible thing, but you're not going to get fantastic photos if you don't make your subject connect with you.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Well, hey, what are some current projects you're doing right now?
I just turned in my portrait photos for class in the people section. Actually, those, I would say the last 4, but I didn't end up using one of them. The very last one, the girl with the piano, That's one of the ones I turned in, and everyone seemed to like it. I was like, I was kind of nervous about it just because I couldn't tell if it seemed generic, but it seemed to do really well. Next up, we're doing still life, and outside of that, I haven't really had time to think up a new personal project for myself. So I'm kind of floating right now.
Okay.
Because there's not a whole lot of people here I know with nice cars I can go practice with again, and all the people I know that are really photogenic, they're not here right now. So,
do you like being in a state of where you are right now, where you don't have a specific style that you're shooting for? You're just kind of open for anything, or would you much rather be like, oh, okay, I need to add more photos in this kind of theme. Let's go out and do that right now. Which one are you?
Probably the latter. I like direction and organization, and so it can be a little frustrating to just sit there and like just wonder what I'm going to do next, and it can get boring trying to imagine this stuff. So knowing what I'm going to do next is reassuring, comforting, and it's easier to just go out and do it once I know what I'm going to do. It's easier to go do it.
Absolutely. Well, what do you think is the next step for you for photography?
That's a good question.
Yeah,
I don't really know.
You don't know? All right.
Well, because I'm still in school. The next big thing I get will be looking for an internship. That I might have some things lined up. But yeah, next semester I'm going to take advanced photography class, and I'm going to try. I think I'll be in. I didn't get in studio lighting, that filled up already. And I'm in some other photography class that I can't remember what it was.
Okay.
Actually, the next thing I have up, I'm going to Europe this summer for a week and a half. So I'll get a few thousand photos that trip. So.
Yeah, for sure. That's going to be cool. Hey, you should work on do some street photography with that.
I've been thinking about it, and that would be a great place to do it. However, because I don't know anything about their customs there, like we'll be in the Czech Republic and Austria, I don't know if it's socially acceptable to take a picture of someone. And so
who cares? I don't know. Well, that's one thing that some of the professors that I have really profess. Take photos and apologize later. That's kind of the big thing, because I mean, you're never going to be able to go back and create the exact same setup, even if you did get permission at some point.
It's easier to ask forgiveness than permission. However, in a place where you don't know the laws, or you don't know if people can do anything about it, it can be a little frightening. Like one summer we were going to go to Russia, which would have been amazing to take pictures of. However, there is a lot of theft there. And Russian people have been known to try and screw around with tourists by claiming random thefts against the tourist, or just putting them in bad positions. And so having an expensive camera, taking pictures of people when you're a tourist or when people know you're not from there, it can be a little unsettling.
I got you. Okay. Well, is there any tips or advice that you can give right now for whoever's watching?
Keep shooting. It doesn't just get easier with practice. One of our band directors used to say, practice doesn't make perfect. Practicing well makes improvement. If you just do the same thing over and over again and expect something to change, that's just insanity, says Albert Einstein. It's really cheesy. I think didn't like Michael Jackson say you have to make the changes you see? No, you have to, the changes you want to see, you have to be those changes. It kind of ties into that. If you want to do something different, then experiment. Like get an SD card that can fit all the different kind of pictures you want to take, and take as many as possible. Go through them, and if you see something that kind of stands out, say, what about this photo did I like? Do I like the way the shadows hit someone's face? Do I like the way the sun peeks through the clouds? Do I like the way the flash hit the wood in the background? You have to be really nitpicky about your own photos. You can't look at the photo and go, yes, I think that's good enough. You have to take a step back and be as objective as possible. Yeah. That's probably one of the harder things, is to say, this looks bad on my photo. What will people like in a way that is acceptable? And what can I say? How do I express what I want to see without offending anyone? And making sure that it touches people the same way it touches me.
Mm-hmm.
So another tip is one of the issues I see with a lot of people who are just studying photography is they say the exact same excuse all the time. I don't have time to go take pictures. A lot of the times, whenever I have my camera with me and I happen to get a picture, it's because I just happen to be there with my camera. I think I have to challenge someone who thinks they don't have time. Just take your camera with you. Just have it with you as much as you can. And if you happen to notice something that looks kind of photogenic or you like it, take out your camera and take a picture. It's that easy. It's not always about going and looking for something to take pictures of, like having all your gear ready in the back of your car and just on the search for something to take a picture of. A lot of times, the opportunity will present itself to you. You just have to be ready to take the picture. Just have your camera with you. Have like a single lens, your DSLR, in your backpack on the way to school or in your car on the way to work, hidden maybe. But have it with you. Just have it on you. That way you're always ready.
It's pretty solid right there. I got you. I've got one more thing to say on the level of tips and stuff, and I know I've talked to you about this, and you have your own opinion on this as well. But I was listening to something somewhere, and I don't remember where it was specifically, but it was talking about how to improve upon as a photographer, and this could be probably definitely for more of like the more advanced photographers. So, it's not just starting out and getting their feet wet and taking a whole bunch of pictures. But they mentioned that one of the greatest advantages for film over digital is its limiting factors. And as far as how much you can take, a roll of film is however many images, was it 36 or something like that? Maybe I'm completely wrong. But it's very limited. And so you have to be very smart about how each individual picture is taken. And you want to, you got to try and be as precise as possible because you don't want to be, buying 30 different rolls of film just for this one area. You got to be smart, and you got to know what you want in that photo. And so that's a challenge that I kind of want to give out to those who are willing to take it is if you're shooting digital, grab yourself the smallest gigabyte SD card you can find, like a 2 gig one, okay, and then go out for an entire weekend and just do photos on that one card, or an entire week, however long it is, but it's supposed to be limiting you to a certain number of photos that be like, okay, I only have this many photos and I can't waste my time taking 200 or 300 in a certain spot just to be like, oh, I guess this one in a billion looks good. It's the idea is designed to have you be a lot more thoughtful of your composition, of your lighting, and your skills as a photographer. So that's a challenge that I have set forth to the more advanced photographers, to limit yourself in the number of photos you're able to take in order to really come out with much more strong single photos rather than an entire full hard drive of crappy photos. So that's my challenge to anyone who's watching. All right, well, Reese, I want to thank you so much for joining me today. That was really, really good, solid talks. Love your photography, and as time goes on, you are absolutely improving, and that's a wonderful thing to see. You can follow Reese on Instagram at was it Reese Evans 5?
Reese Vans 5.
Reese Vans 5. My bad. It's so funny.
I should trademark that at Reese Vans 5.
100%. Why the 5 though?
Because I'm the 5th. My full name is John Reese Evans the 5th.
Yeah. Okay, I remember that being.
So I try to implement it where I can, and 5 is a cool number. I like that number.
All right, cool. Well, thank you once again, everyone who's listening. Thank you so much, Reese. I'm glad we got to do this. And just have a good day.
Thank you. You too.